In August 2010, a strange and desperate story suddenly gripped our nation. The San Jose copper mine in Chile had collapsed, and a giant shard of rock, twice the weight of the Empire State Building, had given way in the heart of a mine, with 33 miners beneath it, buried alive, 2,300 feet underground. Initial rescue attempts proved futile. There was no sign or sound of life, and even if any of the 33 miners had, by some miracle, survived, it seemed impossible that they'd find them in a tiny room nearly half a mile down, let alone get them out without triggering a further collapse. Chile's Minister of Mines, Lawrence Goldbaum, was the first to address the families who had set up camp on the surface.
Expansión que provocó derrumbe. Esto obviamente bloquea esta entrada y esta posibilidad de entrada. Estamos con todos los equipos técnicos tratando de buscar otros mecanismos técnicos para resolver esto.
Conditions at the base of the mine were utterly inhospitable. There was constant darkness, scorching temperatures, and toxic air, yet their ventilation shafts were completely blocked, and they only had enough food and water for 3 days. There was no medicine, no contact with the world above, and no possibility of escape. The only way rescue teams could get to them was if they drilled their way down, but the mine was so vast, their efforts were largely guesswork. So after 2 weeks of failed attempts, almost everyone had given up believing that any of the miners were still alive. But after 17 days without contact, one of the drills hit an air pocket, and the engineers thought they heard someone banging on the end of it with a wrench. When they brought the drill back up, attached to the end was a small crumpled note bearing some incredible news.
Estamos bien en el refugio Los 33.
A story which initially seemed to offer no hope had become something truly amazing. My name's Dan Morrice. I'm a geography teacher in the city of Bristol, and like millions of others in Britain, I was captivated by this story as it unfolded over 69 days. Something about the rescue of these ordinary hard-working men, trapped deep in the earth, seemed to capture people's hearts right across the world. In the most televised mine rescue in history, 1 billion viewers tuned in live as one by one, those 33 men, once thought to be dead, now emerged from that deep dark pit into the light of day, and the arms of their waiting families, every one of them alive and well. What happened to transform this disaster into something so beautiful? Maybe they were all just lucky, at least that's the story I was told. But as I read the first-hand accounts from the miners themselves, they seemed to tell a different story. Many of the 33 were in no doubt that the miracle of a San Jose mine rescue really was just that, a miracle. Curious to find out more, I wrote to one of the miners, and many months later, my letter arrived on the doormat of a small house in Chile's Lake District, at the home of José Henríquez. He wrote back immediately and invited me over to interview him in person. So I enlisted the help of a couple of fellow teachers, Ross to translate and Louise to capture the story on film, and we set off for Chile to hear the story from the miner's perspective. Within a week, we'd travelled 1,000 kilometres from the lush green hills of the south to the San Jose mine itself in the desert plains of the Atacama. We ended up meeting not just Jose, but 3 other miners as well. We had lunch with a regional head of social services and interviewed the chaplain to the president. How a curious trio of teachers managed to get this far, I do not know. But what I do know is that the stories we uncovered from the mine were beyond anything we could have imagined. This is the account of a San Jose mine rescue from the people at the heart of it.
Como buscar una aguja en un pajar. Una galería tan chiquita de 4x4 que llegaron a una perforación a esa profundidad, 700 metros de profundidad, no era prácticamente imposible.
Empecé con un dolor muy fuerte en el pecho, no podía respirar. Y yo pensé que había llegado el momento de partir.
Fui a ver a los familiares y vi sus caras de angustia, de desesperación. En ese instante sí. El cuadro se veía muy negro. Y me salió del alma decirle, mire, yo no les puedo prometer nada más que los vamos a buscar como si fueran nuestros propios hijos y no vamos a escatimar ningún esfuerzo, ningún sacrificio hasta que los encontremos.
I had no idea before I met the miners just how ludicrously unlikely their survival was, let alone their rescue. Even when the drill finally landed in their tiny space nearly half a mile down, it still took an extra 52 days to drill another hole big enough to get them out, and all this time the mine was like an underground house of cards, liable to collapse again at any moment. To find out how they made it out against all the odds, we started our journey with José Henríquez. He was one of the older miners of the 33 and had endured mining accidents in the past, but nothing on the scale of the San Jose disaster. In the first 17 days after the collapse, the only footage we have from inside the mine came from José's cell phone, and I was keen to hear the inside story from his perspective.
Me tocó ser un elemento positivo. ¿Por qué? Porque estábamos bien, estábamos vivos, teníamos agua. Así que nosotros fuimos a los estanques y pedimos la bendición por el estanque. Oramos al Señor, le pedimos, Señor, bendice esta agua, tal como esto aquí, y bendice, oramos y le pedimos al Señor. Cuando hicieron el estudio, los químicos del agua, el primer estanque, porque eran 2 estanques, ¿ya? El primer estanque que nosotros habíamos orado no tenía nada, pero el segundo estanque estaba contaminado. Entonces, escucha al Señor la oración, ¿ves? Era nuestra última cena el día 16, fuimos ahí a cocinar, a comer lo último poquito que nos quedaba de atún. Entonces ahí fuimos, hicimos fuego, calentamos ahí, qué sé yo, y nos repartieron en un vasito con agua y le echamos el atún adentro.
I couldn't help but think that the Last Supper, as they called it, had a rather morbid tone to it. But despite the odds, José never stopped believing that they'd be rescued, even after 17 days without contact. And it turns out, he wasn't the only one of such faith. One of José's fellow miners and friends, Omar Reygadas, had thought that he would die before the rescue at one point, but a strange and unexpected event gave him a renewed faith. We journeyed north to the mining town of Copiapó to hear his story.
Una mañana donde yo estaba bastante mal, ya me había empezado a afectar la falta de oxígeno. Empecé con un dolor muy fuerte en el pecho, no podía respirar. Y yo pensé que había llegado el momento de partir. Y lo dejé a la voluntad de Dios, yo me entregué a Dios y dije que me tomara de su mano. Pero después dije, no, Dios no me va a dejar aquí adentro de la mina. Yo creo que no es el momento de morir, yo creo que es el momento de luchar. Y en el mismo lugar donde estaba tendido, hice una oración. Yo creo que a lo mejor esa oración fue con tanta fuerza, con tanta fe, que en un momento empecé a sentir una brisa que llegaba, que incluso empezó a dar frío. Le digo a mi compañero que estaba detrás mío, antes que le pregunte, me dice, oye viejo chico, me está dando mucho frío, está entrando mucho aire. Entonces yo pensé, rompí un sondaje en algún lugar y empezamos a buscar con un encendedor para qué lado soplaba No encontramos en ni una parte sondaje, nada. Y lo más increíble es que el viento el aire venía del fondo de la mina, del fondo donde ya no hay más. Es como mirar al fondo de una botella y ya no hay salida, entrada por ni una parte. Y el aire provenía de ahí. Ahí creció mucho más mi fe, que Dios estaba con nosotros.
While the faith of the men underground remained strong despite the conditions, strengthened no doubt by the strangely clean industrial water or the sudden breeze which restored Omar in his hour of need, I also wanted to find out how people coped on the surface, especially in the first 17 days after the collapse, when nobody even knew if they were alive. Marta Contreras works for the Chilean government in the Atacama region, and she helped to coordinate the makeshift settlement at the entrance to the mine, known as Camp Hope. We caught up with her one lunchtime in Copiapó and asked her what it was like serving the families of the 33.
Algo que a mí me llamó mucho la atención fue el hecho de que las familias nunca perdieron la fe. Arriba había muchas personas que oraron, que rezaron, que buscaron a Dios, que en sus congregaciones, que en sus iglesias hacían cadenas de oración y se unían en esto tan grande de poder pedir por estos hombres que estaban enterrados.
The rescue had clearly had a profound impact upon Marta, so we asked her to describe what it was like to be with the families when they greeted the miners after 69 days underground.
Para mí, yo dije, en ese minuto lo pensé, lo sentí así, es como cuando el hombre llegó a la luna. Fue un pequeño paso para el hombre, pero un gran paso para la humanidad. Cuando salió Luis, que fue el último que salió, y yo estaba observando desde una plataforma hacia el lugar donde él abrazó a su familia, a su hijo, y yo estaba con su esposa al lado, esperando que él llegara hasta donde nosotros estábamos, y ahí recién dije, gracias, Señor. Y mis lágrimas cayeron porque habían salido los 33.
Marta showed us to a small gallery in the town where we could see that famous note that the miners had sent up on day 17, along with a Phoenix 2 capsule that had finally carried them, one by one, out of the mine. This is the actual Phoenix 2 capsule which lifted them into the surface. You can come in nice and close, you can see it's not actually very big in there. And so it's going to be a pretty uncomfortable ride. But what a joyful ride that would be after 69 days in the darkness. This is the tiny capsule which took them into broad daylight to their very delighted families. Amazing. Many of the 33 still lived in Copiapó. We managed to catch up with Alex Vega, one of the youngest miners in San Jose, to ask him how he felt when the mine first collapsed.
Con mucha angustia, incertidumbre, de no saber qué es lo que iba a pasar con nosotros. Porque tratábamos nosotros de salir por las nuestras y no había posibilidades, por lo menos por donde estábamos nosotros no había cómo. Con lo que nosotros logramos subir, más o menos calculamos que eran varios niveles que se cayeron, así que era muy angustiante. La esperanza de poder salir de ahí y que las personas que estaban trabajando arriba, como buscar una aguja en un pajar, una galería tan chiquita de 4x4 que llegaron a una perforación a esa profundidad, 700 metros de profundidad, no era prácticamente imposible. O sea, de hecho era cosa de día a día que nosotros nos juntábamos en oración con nuestros compañeros y que eso nos fue enriqueciendo el alma de cierta manera y de esperanza, de estar cada vez más esperanzados de que nosotros íbamos a poder salir de ahí. Y siempre creyendo en Dios, de que Él iba a mover montañas. Sí. y lo hizo.
Before we left Copiapó, Omar offered to take us up to the mine in person and show us around Camp Hope. It was a strange experience wandering around in the evening sun at a small site deep in the Atacama Desert, so quiet and peaceful, knowing that 5 years earlier, 1 billion people had been captivated by this spot, watching the most televised mine rescue in history. The name Camp Hope captured the unwavering faith of the families, praying night and day for their husbands and sons and brothers and fathers. Marta described it as a small Jerusalem in the Atacama, now deserted, the mine closed off forever, with 33 flags flapping gently on the hillside, quietly testifying to a story which started as a disaster, but ended as a scene of indescribable joy that echoed out across the desert, across the nation, across the world. Our visit to Copiapó had demonstrated to us the importance of prayer in the San Jose mine rescue, but for them, prayer wasn't a monologue or a set of meaningless phrases, but a dialogue, and it seemed that God was speaking just as much as they were.
Que ya el Señor nos había avisado. El Señor, por sueño, nos mostraba el lugar exacto donde iba a romper la broca, la que rompió. En el lugar preciso, el Señor nos mostró por sueño. Cuando yo estaba abajo en la mina, acá en Talca estaban sucediendo cosas grandes de parte del Señor, en que una hermana es enviada de Mendoza, de la Argentina, a la casa de mi madre, y para traer un mensaje para mí, mientras yo estaba abajo. Y el Señor le dijo, mira, vete a Talca, vete allá a Chile y busca a mi hija, y dile, sacaré a mi hijo, y lo enviaré para que testifique de mí a las naciones.
Whoever this prophetic lady was, it was certainly a bold move to track down José's family in Chile and tell them that, against all the odds, he would get out of the mine and then travel the world testifying to the God who saved them. But as José explained, that's exactly what happened.
Y ahí yo no quería porque yo tengo miedo a los aviones, pues dije yo no voy a salir porque no quiero andar en avión. Y resulta que tuve que ir. Ya recorrí 18 países con esto, testificando de la palabra, del testimonio y de Cristo he salido.
José's story had so many amazing insights, we could have stayed in Talca for weeks. But there was one voice in particular that we were all still curious to hear from. Alf Cooper was chaplain to the president during the whole ordeal, and he had a first-hand insight into the decisions made by President Pinera in the wake of the collapse. Alf was born and raised in Britain, a graduate from Bristol Uni, and originally a passionate atheist, but after a divine encounter in Portugal, he ended up becoming chaplain to the president of Chile, and he agreed to meet us at his office in Santiago.
I was on my day off. I got a phone call from the presidency. At the time, I was chaplain to President Pinera. This phone call said, the president would like you to organize a prayer meeting tomorrow. That night, on the 5th of August, they prayed at the bottom of the mine. They prayed, one, that God would get them out of that impossible situation, and two, that the president himself become involved with the rescue, because they knew that the company didn't have the wherewithal nor even probably the intention of getting them out. Next day we arranged this presidential palace chapel prayer meeting. There was the president, all the cabinet, I had never seen a thing like this, all praying for the rescue of the miners. We laid their faces on the presidential, on the chapel table, and we prayed. We set about praying. I sensed that there was something very unusual about what was going on. I've never seen a president call for a whole nation to pray. The whole of Chile was praying. Underneath in the mine, they had darkness, little water, just a bit of light. They had the tuna fish, which they were sharing out at the ration of half a teaspoonful a day per man. They knew they had to survive for 2 weeks if there was any hope. They could tell how long it would take. Then they heard the drills coming down and missing them. So when they put all that together, they thought down there that they wouldn't be able to survive all this. The second drill that was coming down, again, was going to miss them. But it hit a rock, as you probably know, and came in at the right angle so that it hit them 10 yards from where they were. And here in our church, the rumor began that there was banging on the other side of a drill that had broken through. And the whole church got up and shouted, "Hallelujah!" And then we heard outside the honking of the horns and everybody, but still we didn't know how many had survived. Maybe it was just one poor miner banging on the drill, on the end of the drill. And then that note came up in the afternoon saying, "We're all well, the 33. I mean, the whole of Chile just erupted. We'd won all the World Cups in history. It was just an incredible moment all over Chile.
Estamos bien en el refugio Los 33.
And this is what happens when a nation prays. I said this again and again and again. When in the world selfishness and greed put working conditions in such a way that there are accidents like this, right? There are human victims. But that is the fault of humans and their selfishness. But even under those circumstances, when people at the bottom of a mine, victims of labor abuse, when they cry out to God, God hears prayer.
Alf's insights gave us a new perspective on the events. The whole story was coming together more clearly. But before we left Alf, we had one last question for him. José had mentioned a revelation that the president's father-in-law had the night before they were rescued, and I wondered if Alf knew any more about it.
The president asked the father-in-law what he felt about this, that they had invested so much into the rescue of the miners. And the father-in-law said, go, carry on doing this, because they are alive. You know what, I should send you it in Spanish, but a film, that interview I had with the president, he gave me this incredible interview.
Wow. If you're willing, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Los mejores momentos de su presidencia, ¿qué se acuerda?
Momentos emotivos, sin duda, el rescate de los 33 mineros. Porque eso fue algo que durante mucho tiempo, 17 días después del accidente, no sabíamos si estaban vivos, si estaban muertos, no sabíamos dónde estaban. Pero yo tenía una convicción que no sé explicar, de que estaban vivos y que nuestro deber era rescatarlos. Así que cuando muchos flaquearon y tuvieron dudas, yo siempre mantuve esa fe inquebrantable. Y de hecho, en varias oportunidades los asesores decían, ¿hasta cuándo vamos a buscarlo? Hasta que los encontremos. Y le cuento una anécdota personal. El día que se descubrió que los mineros estaban vivos, que fue en el mes de agosto, cuando enviaron ese mensaje.
El día del funeral de su...
Efectivamente. Esa noche mi suegro se estaba muriendo y por casualidad yo me quedé con él esa noche. Mi mujer se fue a dormir y despertó a medianoche. Estaba muy enfermo y me preguntó por los mineros y me dijo, ¿están vivos? Lo sé que están vivos, búscalos. Y eso me dio a mí una convicción aún mayor. Tanto fue así que cuando mi mujer regresó temprano a la mañana, le conté esta anécdota y ella me dijo, ándate a la mina porque esto significa algo. Y llegué a la mina y encontramos a los 33 mineros vivos y sanos.
Perdóneme, pero...
Es un milagro, ¿ah?
El sondaje rompió.
Mira la vida,
¡Estamos bien! ¡En el refugio!
As I sat down with Ross and Louise at the end of an extraordinary trip, we tried to work out what we could take back to Britain, what inspiration we could draw from the events of San Jose. The miracles were inexplicable. The fact that none of them died in the collapse, the rockfalls seemed to just miss them all while crushing tunnels on every side. Then there was the industrial water which somehow became clean, the 3 days emergency rations which kept them going for 17 days, the drill which shuddered and split through 700 metres of rock, yet veered off course on its own accord to hit a small room 4 by 4 metres in just the place where one of the miners had seen it enter in a dream days before. There was the mysterious cool breeze that appeared in the mine, completely sealed off from the outside, but strong enough to restore Omar's breathing until he recovered. There were the visions and dreams of people above ground, the woman from Mendoza, the president's father-in-law. We asked Omar and José for a final word on what they think we should take from this phenomenal series of events.
Yo tengo no sé, mi manera de ver el accidente que hubo en la mina San José, yo lo veo como algo preparado por alguien muy poderoso, que era para que nosotros quedáramos adentro justo 33 personas. Pero la prueba no era para nosotros los 33, ni era para Chile, ni era para los dueños de la empresa. La prueba yo creo que era para el mundo entero, porque esto se originó que hubo toda una información y preocupación de todo el mundo. Y eso es lo que Dios quería, que se acercaran las personas. Y en esos días que nosotros estuvimos dentro de la mina, la gente se comunicaba, conversaba. El día que nosotros nos encontraron, personas que nunca se habían visto, se dieron la mano, se abrazaron, lloraron, que eso no iba a ocurrir así tan fácilmente y ocurrió cuando nosotros estábamos dentro de la mina. Por eso digo yo que esto fue obra de Dios, para pegarle un remesón al mundo, para decirle, hey, yo estoy acá. Ustedes son los que se han alejado de mi lado y vean lo que está ocurriendo. De no haber sido por la ayuda o por la mano de Dios, yo estaría bajo tierra hoy día.
Entonces, ustedes que han leído la Biblia, saben que el Señor ama a los que se humillan. ¿Ah? Dios ama a los que se humillan, pero al altivo lo mira de lejos. No escucha la oración. Y si la escucha, se hace el desentendido. Pero nosotros los humillamos. Los 33 nos humillamos allí, delante del Señor. Y Él contestó nuestra oración. El Dios de la gloria, el Dios vivo, estuvo allí con nosotros. Entonces, el protagonista principal de esta historia se llama Jesucristo. Nosotros no somos héroes, Él es el héroe.
Back in Britain, the whole adventure seems so surreal, but as we return to our work and our normal lives in Bristol, Omar and Jose's words were ringing in my ears. Maybe the incredible rescue of San Jose wasn't just the miracle that 33 men needed. It was the miracle that we all need to hear, to show us that when we kneel before God in humility and cry out to Him in prayer, anything can happen, even miracles.